Aloha, this is Kim. Welcome to my channel, Eye in the Sky. Well, I am jumping in today. I am jumping into the deep end, hoping for a big splash and seeing where it takes me. I am very new to YouTube, so I literally have one video uploaded to my channel, and I thought it was about time I did a second one. And I have really been meaning to share some thrift hauls and do some flip throughs of some junk journals and glue books that I'm working on. But I just think it's so weird for me to just jump in that way because I seemingly came out of nowhere. I'm new to the space, right? And so I wondered if people would think, who is this one video person trying to get into the space? And by the way, no one from the community has told me to stay out. They've been very welcoming, in fact. It's just my own fear of having to do exactly this. And so I thought it would be helpful for me to provide a little bit of my creative personal history so that you can see where I'm coming from, where I'm going, where I hope to be. And I've been interested in junk journals, art journals, and glue books, creating them and using them for the last 2 years. And I haven't always been super comfortable sharing in the space what I've been working on, what I'm doing, my process, that kind of thing. And it's because my first effort at a journal didn't turn out well. And, I'm at a point now where I'm just open to share. So if I feel up to it at the end of this video, I might just bring it out. So I have a starting off point, or at least you have a starting off point to see how I progressed. In the meantime, I've been watching creatives on YouTube do their thing, and oh my gosh, there are so many amazing and brilliant artists out there creating these beautiful, magnificent pieces of art and sharing them with the world. They are providing these flip throughs so we can see what kind of materials and supplies they use and how they were able to incorporate their own style, their own flair into the projects that they're working on. Then they provide tutorials so that we can try to replicate these efforts, but imbue our own style and flavor to whatever project we're working on. Many of them turn around and make these books available for purchase, which is something I've recently been lucky enough to do. So I'm hoping to share those on the channel as well. I just think every time I watch one of their videos or see one of their masterpieces, I'm always just so inspired, and it is what kind of keeps me, trying harder each time I come to the table and create something new. So I'm going to start by saying that I come from the scrapbooking world, and I was doing it during a time that I like to call the golden age of scrapbooking, which is the early 2000s. My daughter was a baby, a small child during that time. Now she's in her mid-20s, and I was scrapbooking with my best friend whose son is a year older than my daughter, and we had so much fun. I mean, we would go to the retreats and the workshops and the clinics, and we would go do the shopping for the supplies and go to each other's houses so we could put our layouts together and just share. And I mean, we had a blast. And we gradually moved away from that space for no other reason than, life happens. But we will always look at those albums, those scrapbooks, as these cherished artifacts of memories we hold with our child and with our families. And I'm speaking for myself and not for my friend or for any other scrapbooker, but I do feel like for me, scrapbooking was limiting my creativity. And what I mean by that is, scrapbooking was perfect for me because there's a lot of templates that you can follow. And I'm a template girl. I mean, I need rules and guidelines and structure, so it was perfect. I'm the person who needs a recipe if I'm gonna cook because I need to know exactly how much of a teaspoon I need to put into something to make it taste good. I'm not like my father was or how my husband is, where they can throw things together and flavor it up, and then all of a sudden you're eating something fantastic. No, that's not me. I make a better baker because I know I can follow the recipe precisely. You have to in order for it to come out well. But that's me, and at least at that time. And so, well, this isn't embarrassing to admit, but it's definitely something that I've been thinking about. But if you took a layout from one of my scrapbooks, my early scrapbooks, and you did a side by side with a template out of a scrapbook magazine or book, you would see twinsies, because that's literally what I was doing. And sure, I used my own paper, and I obviously had different pictures, and my memories were going to be different that I journaled about, but basically the template was there. And you'll see what I mean as I go into sharing some of these older scrapbooks. But the place I want to start right now is with my mom, because I think that is where I get my creative energy from. And I mean, look at this energy right here. I mean, do you see this beauty in front of you? This is a genuine 1960s album, photo album. You know what I'm talking about, with the coil. And it's been well loved. She's a thickie. And my mom was doing scrapbooks before I knew what scrapbooking was, you know, because I was a child. And so every time I saw this, I always knew, you know, I thought of it as book of pictures, book of memories. And she made one for all of us when we were growing up. I'm not going to show you that one just yet, but I'm going to share this with you, and just sort of a quick flip through, just so you can see that this is kind of where it starts for me with my mom. She was doing scrapbooks a long time. There's actually an older scrapbook than this one that she did when she was single, you know, maybe like her high school, like 18, 19 years old. And it's so cute. I always told her that I would redo her scrapbooks, and of course I never did. But now that I'm into glue books, maybe that's a better option, because you can combine the two. And that is what I really like about junk journals, you know, because you can really take something and, well, add to it or take away from it. You could alter the shape of it. You could paint it, rip it, stencil over it, bedazzle it, and it would still be an original work of art, something nobody else has done because you did it this way, and you didn't use a template, right? That's what I love about junk journaling. I'm learning that I don't have to do that. And I think it's kind of funny because when my daughter was younger, I never even gave her a coloring book until she was 5, because I didn't want her to color in the lines. I didn't want her to be an inside the box thinker. And thank goodness she is not. She thinks outside the box, and she's very creative. So you're welcome, Reese. Anyway, getting back to the scrapbook. This looks like art from my younger sister. Which of course would be front and center in my mom's scrapbook. My younger sister is about 8 years younger than me. Oh, look at that. Of course, it's 1992. So she was going through her formative years way later than I did. And she was actually a pretty good artist here herself. She's actually very creative, my younger sister. She crochets, she does, she makes lace, she, out of palaka fabric. I mean, she's super talented too. And she made a quilt for my baby when she was little. And anyway, so she's creative also. And again, I want to say it stems from my mother. Okay, I promise we're not going to go through all of this, but my mom put these things in here because I told her I was going to scrapbook them for her, and then I moved into a different area, so now I need to glue book it for her, I guess. But my mom grew up on the Ewa Plantation here on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, and she went to the 100-year celebration. This is the elementary school that she went to, and yes, that is Abraham Lincoln. There is a statue of Abraham Lincoln in the front of the administration building at Ewa Elementary now. But it was a mill town before, you know, sugarcane. And we all still live in the area. So, of course, my mom went to the celebration, and there's these amazing pictures that they were selling for fundraisers. This was probably the general store where all the plantation workers, general stores and offices where the plantation workers could get their things, their food, their clothing, things like that. And we had, you know, a train out here. It still runs on Sundays and Wednesdays, actually. It's they take people on rides. It doesn't run the way it used to, but they do take people on rides. And of course, it is a nonprofit, so it's kind of cool that they're trying to keep that history alive. So that's that. And they had like a whole program for the centennial. And again, a lot of this was from my sister. And this is funny because I probably did this. You're gonna notice there's missing pictures. Don't tell my mom. But it's probably because I was in the process of moving things over. And you'll see that here it says our courtship and engagement. And this is, of course, you know, my parents before they got married. And those pictures are gone because of me. But, oh, and see, I need to find out if I can take things like this out. This is their wedding invitation. I'm gonna have to use like some special thing. And then their certificate of marriage, their wedding photos, of course. That's my mama and my auntie. And then their actual cake eating pictures that you always have to include. And I probably took those pictures out as well. But, you know, her wedding gifts on Boys' Day. Something else my sister did, I'm sure. But look at these vintagey thank you cards. This was her thank you card. Their thank you card, because it says Lonnie and Maury. And so this is what they were giving out. I'm gonna have to see if I can get that out nicely so I can put it in a glue book. And oh my gosh, right? What we search for, what we're on the lookout for when we are thrifting, so that we could put them in our journals and our glue books, are these vintage cards. It's so cute. And the paper, you can really feel, you know, the difference in the paper. These are all the cards they received. Oh, that's cute. And then that's their wedding announcement that she clipped out of the newspaper. Do people still announce their weddings in papers? I mean, I guess there's not a lot of papers left, right? So maybe not. And then these were just their first year together, right? So holidays and birthdays and things like that. That's so cute. Look at this cute card. Oh, look, this one came out. Oh, congratulations, Maurice. Oh, this came from my dad's family, but that is a really nice card. Okay. So I'm gonna have fun redoing this in a glue book for my mom. But again, this is just first example that I have of scrapbooking. And there, like I said, there was one older than this from when she was younger that I need to find in my bin of things that I was working on for her, because that would be a really cool one to see as well. So from that, we moved to this, which my dad is Japanese. Not sure where this Okinawan album came from, but I'm sure somebody gave it to them, and my mom, being my mom, is not going to not use it, right? I mean, the time, I'm pretty sure it was, you know, in better condition, obviously, but then why would you not use something somebody gave you? So yeah, just pictures from the family, and that's them in all their high school glory. Yeah, and this will come out easily. Okay, perfect. Whoops. And then this was my brother and my older sister making Valentine's for my mom. That's us. Christmas Day 72 and 73. And Mother's Day cards. She saved all of that. Newspaper interviewed her for a poll. She saved, I'm sure, all of our various Valentine's cards for her. Oh, that's from Sister Michelle. And then I hope this one is from me. Nope, it's from Chad. I guess it was I was too young still. And anyways, so there's all these different things that she would save for her scrapbooks that her kids gave to her, which I think is so cute. So I will work on that. We'll return to that later. So from that, I learned scrapbooking, and when I had my daughter, this was my first scrapbook that I made, and I will flip through it really quickly, but I just wanted to show you again. Oh, look at this light. I'm going to pause for a second and see if I can fix that. So my daughter's theme when she was a baby was Noah's Ark. So I was gifted this cute little album and started off with this. And okay, so she's gonna kill me if she ever knew I did this. But anyways, this is, I want to say later. This was not the first layout I ever did, because this was something different I was trying. So I guess I was working on my creativity a little bit. But I would get scrapbook paper and I would fussy cut. Now I realize I was fussy cutting. That's not what we called it at the time. But I actually fussy cut the pattern out of the whole paper and then just use that part to put that together. And this was before I knew about pop dots and things like that, so it's not popping up like it should. But anyway, it's a very pregnant me, and you know, using die cuts to show my pregnancy, and then you know, the birth itself. Well, not exactly the birth, but just little things. You know, I would do funny things, like, if I'm telling you this is a template, but I did do things like I thought I was all sassy, right? Because I would like turn the picture sideways and stuff, but and then these were pages like all you had to do is plop a picture in there, so that was helpful for me. I used to get a lot of those kind of kits. And oh, look at that face. Anyway, this is another kit, obviously, but I did a lot of those in the early years. This one is a template, but yeah, nothing too super creative. Okay, and then from there, I graduated to, well, and I did this, these pictures were from before I had a child, but is this the right way? Upside down. But they are just a trip that I was working on scrapbooking that I took to Chicago, unfortunately, in 1997 during the Labor Day weekend that Princess Diana was killed, which I actually journal a lot here. But I wanted to point this out because this is when I guess I was trying to stretch my creative legs, and this was a paper for Chicago, like a scrapbook paper for Chicago, and I fussy cut out the buildings and the word Chicago from that paper, and then I pasted 1997 on it because that's when I went. And I did other cutesy things, like I actually cut out the Wrigley Field sign from the picture that I took. And then I don't know if you guys are familiar with that 1980s movie About Last Night with Rob Lowe and Demi Moore, and they went to a bar called Mother's. We went. It was so cute. It's my friend Scott, and that's my friend Janelle. But anyway, as you can see, my pictures template and straight up and down. Nothing fancy. This was probably the fanciest thing about it, is that I went and fussy cut out the word Chicago in these buildings. Okay. Is there more? Oops. Okay. And this is just the second page. And again, I thought I was so sassy when I would, you know, arrange a picture in a slanted fashion from the straight up and down pictures. That's hilarious. And then I moved on to even more elegance because I moved into like box type of, what am I trying to call this? Like a box album. And so it is in a box, right? She's chunky. And you got a little tie over here. And it's funny, I just realized I never even put a picture in there. It's hilarious. Okay. So this is, whoops. This is an album I made for my dad, a scrapbook. And as you can see, I fussy cut out some cherry blossoms, or in Japanese they're called sakura. And used some vellum and printed some things on there, and using some transfer stickers for lettering. That's about as fancy as I got. That's a really pretty paper. And then I started doing things like double matting, you know. Okay. And then using transfers, much more transfers, and blingy blings, you know. Okay. And a lot of vellum. I used a lot of vellum in this album to print things, which is really nice touch, I feel like. And then to have these old pictures of my great grandparents that I could actually scrapbook was pretty cool. And then knowing where they came from in Japan, knowing what ship they were on when they came, a very good history. And again, thinking I'm hot susu when I would slant the pictures. I still can't believe I thought that was so innovative, but it is what it is. Trying to think of what else I might have gotten creative with here. It's a lot of double matting. Yeah. Oh, okay. This was the creative edge for me. Ripping paper. I hated it. It really made me not feel good. Because of course you can see this was sakura paper, cherry blossom paper, right? I hated to rip it. It really made me feel ill. I know that's a little dramatic, but it's for real. This was something I could never get into. And so besides this layout, you'll probably never see it in any of my other scrapbooks. But now in my junk journaling and glue book journey, I actually would probably do it more. Now here's something innovative, I think, for me, was that I was layering papers here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, many papers, flowers with bling. It's the cutest picture of my dad. This was outside of my box, and I always like to show people this picture of my grandparents and how far apart they are standing in this picture. This is an arranged marriage. He's wearing very Western clothing. She's in a kimono. And that picture just always got me. And I think I journaled about it here. I said, I've always been fascinated by this wedding photograph. Perhaps it is because of the contrast between my grandmother's kimono and my grandfather's Western suit, or maybe it is how distant, in quotes, this beautiful woman and rather handsome man seem to be from each other, even though they are celebrating their matrimony. And then, of course, there's a picture of my dad. But the layers, that's phenomenal. That is not something I would normally have done. And so when I'm looking at it now, it's like, hey, I was working on it, you guys. Anyway, that, oh, and this is the last one. And even this, oh, I forgot about this. Wow. So this is about my grandfather, a baseball star. That's him behind the catcher's mitt. And again, look at these layered papers. Using more of the transfers. And then these are all, I cut them out separately. These are flags. Wow. I'm like, I'm tripping myself out here. And then these colored jewels. Wow, that's pretty interesting. And I know I used this little trim here because they look like baseballs. And we're talking about my grandpa, the baseball star. So anyway, moved into that. Okay, and then many years later, because I want to say this was probably, what was that, 2012 is when I did that album. And then I moved into more interactive stuff. Okay, so I started watching, I just want to make sure I didn't skip one. I started watching Frances on her YouTube channel called Your Book of Memories. And she was doing these interactive albums. And so they're scrapbooks, but they're more interactive than just like, you know, turning a page and reading the journaling. You actually can touch. It's a sensory kind of thing. So I made this, and it's not sitting super, it looks like it's sort of lopsided because there's no pictures in it. It's not full, so it's not stain level. But I learned how to do this on her channel. Whoop. Okay. So let's take off these little hooks. Oh my gosh. Okay, now it's gonna give me a problem. Oh, there we go. And there's a magnet here. And so I moved into more interactive things. And this is so cute. Okay, I need to show you this because you're gonna be so impressed by my growth. So this is obviously a scrapbook, an album, an interactive album for Disneyland. And I got all of this paper from Echo Park because they make the best Disneyland papers. And, you know, so there's journaling cards on both sides, you know, up and down. And then you got this waterfall for pictures and journaling, you know, that you could do. So much to work with because of the colors. And then you get to this next little spot, and of course you have to open it, right? It's interactive. And then you have a place where you can put a picture and journal. And so that gets closed up, and I will fix that later. But basically that's that. Then you go to this side and you have this little envelope that you can tuck, you know, your tickets or memorabilia inside. This one has actually a little autograph book. Guys, this is a signature. This is a signature, which is what I learned about junk journaling. That's so funny. Okay, and I didn't make this that long ago. It was just in the last couple years. But this is where I moved to. That's how long it had been since I scrapbooked or did anything like that, anything creative. And so that goes there. Then you have this middle part, and you have this other place where you can put pictures or memorabilia, right? And it's magnetic closure. So you got that. Okay, and so that's what that does. And then you got this middle part. So you open that up, and you have this middle part, little picture card with tuck spot. Put a picture behind there, and then this opens up. It's got a little like split belly band, and then I don't know, what is this? Oh, it's a frame. I'm not sure what that's doing there. Maybe that got stuck there. I don't know. But again, more pictures. You could tuck them behind these little tuck spots. They're not glued down, so you can easily stick your pictures in without having to glue stuff. That's what that is. And then it flips open. And now you have this side. And so you have a place to put a picture or journal. And then you have this side, pictures or journaling. And then this mirrors the other side. So you've got 2 places for pictures or 2 places for journaling, and you can tuck other things in there. It doesn't have to just be that. And then another waterfall effect for pictures and journaling. Okay, so there's that. And then you've got another thing that you can pull out, tuck a picture. Okay, that goes back in there. Close that up. Put this back in there. And then last but not least, you've got this, this pocket. Oops. Actually, I don't know if it's a pocket so much as just, yeah, it's just another place to put pictures, tuck spots. Oops, sorry, tuck spot. And then you've got places to put more pictures, tuck it behind. Same thing there. Journal, picture. Same thing on that side. So that is that. So I went from scrapbooking to, it's still scrapbooking, but it's interactive albums with a little bit more more creativity for sure. But I did follow a tutorial so that I would know how to make it. I'll have to fix that later. But yeah, and it's a thickie. She's a thickie. And then I followed a tutorial on May Makes, and it's a little card box so that you can gift this, right? And it's a stationery in a box kind of thing. I was trying all kinds of things, you guys. So I'm going to show you. This is tied, but you take this cover off, and then ta-da, you've got stationery in a box. What? And then these are stamps. So you would, if you're gonna give this as a gift, for instance, you would tuck some stamps in there, and you've got a pen already, and a little book for addresses, if that, or notes. And then you got little gift tags. You've got small cards and envelopes. These are like the 3x3s. Let's tuck those in there. And then you've got, regular sized cards. So these are, I also make cards, and so I was trying those out with Stampin' Up. And this is one of my favorite. It's a wave card. Let me see if I can do it on here, if it will translate to the video screen. Let's see. But basically you would stand it up so you could put it on your desk or your shelf or whatever. And so of course it's a frame, see that? And you would write your message back here, but then when you put it in the envelope, it folded down so it wouldn't, you know, you could stick it in a regular sized envelope for that, like one of these. And then this is another one that I made that's sort of 3D-ish. Okay. And again, this still speaks to me of like scrapbooking, because you've got these templates that you can follow. But you know, getting a little bit more three-dimensional, a little bit more innovative, if you will. And you know, I like that. So that's what that was. So if you were gonna give this out as a gift, that would be really cool, because you could do especially if it was around Christmas, you could give Christmas cards, or you could actually put cards for the whole year at Christmas, because then they have the whole following year to do that, and they can come back to you and get more cards. But she has a tutorial, May does, on her YouTube channel on how to do this, and I made several different ones. This one's been kind of tucked away for a while. I did make a boo-boo on this one because the paper's upside down. It's actually, you know, this is the right way. And that is not, it's upside down. Anyway, so things like that. I really was starting to, I like the interactive stuff. And then when I was in school, one of the projects that I did, this was just a little while ago as well, was that I had to make a, I don't even remember what it was called. Anyway, you had to present a final project, and it was a poetry class, but it was in Pidgin, which is Hawaiian Creole English. And so it was a really cool thing, and had all this great Hawaii paper. Like if you look really close, that's the Hawaiian Islands. Isn't that neat? And a lot of my poems, a lot of my poetry was about growing up here in Hawaii, obviously, and then some of it in English, a lot of it in Hawaiian Creole English. And so, of course, I had to go back to my scrapbooking roots, but I did try to make it a little bit more interactive. This is a little bit more of an interactive album, and they're hinged. These pages are hinged. I know people are familiar in this space with the hinged effect, and they kind of look like, if you were really gonna think about it, I could have stitched it in and called it, you know, signatures, but these are attached by hinges. And this was a really fun project. It really did get my creative juices going, and I love how I was able to come up with a different way to present my poetry. And you know, you had to have a table of contents. Well, this is my table of contents, and then I have it tucked into that front pocket. And then this is sort of an illustration of you know, where we come from, which in Hawaii, our piko, which is our center, basically. And I was trying to illustrate how, you know, this is all connected, and it's ohana, and then it's, you know, keiki, which is children, identity, place, advancing, and all of those things. And anyway, I was able to do a lot, match up a lot of my poetry with the different elements that a scrapbooker would use, or in a glue book or a junk journaler. And look at me using all my stamps, because whew. And you saw me pull this out of here. These were, you know, this was the first kind of oh shoot, I think it was in this one, the pockets that I made. Hello, tuck spots. And a lot of the pages have it, because some of the poems were so long that I had to kind of go and add little extra pockets so I could fit it all in. And just, yeah, I really went to town with this one. This was fun. I probably could have done something a little better as far as adhesive, but I have learned a lot about adhesive lately, so I'm probably gonna go back and try to fix some of those things. And yeah, anyway, so that's, I moved into the interactive album world. And then one of the things I was doing at the same time were these, what I call storybook frames. And one of the classes I was taking in school a few years ago was Dante's Divine Comedy. And so we go over the 3 parts of that comedy, which is Inferno, and Purgatorio, and Paradiso. So basically it's his journey from out of hell and through purgatory, and then making your way up to paradise or heaven. And so I took some elements I had, scrapbooking again, and tried to really work that into just one, I'm gonna call this a frame, right? I had to make everything fit into a frame. And so yes, things are straight up and down, right? For the most part, and the only thing I could do creatively place is these jewels, these embellishments. But I thought, well, that was pretty good. I have this like die cut for flames, and so I thought, hell. And then black, you know, coming out, and then all of a sudden things are getting, you know, lighter and prettier. There's a scene where there's the water, and then all the things that make up Inferno or hell, all the places that make up, you know, purgatory, and then all the places that you're aiming for when you get to heaven. So I did like doing the storybook frames, and I've been able to do a few for people and try to fit the entire story, make it a pictorial representation just in one shadow box frame. So that's been kind of fun to do. And let's see, last but not least, okay, I guess I will show you the journal that I worked on. Look at that. I never even finished it because it was just one of those things like, okay, I don't know. So basically, this is obviously Pooh's Grand Adventure, and I did a rounded spine, sort of. This looks like it's bent. And then I realized, if you look at this, I could have actually fit 3 signatures in there, maybe, or maybe not, because then they would get chunky, right, when you add stuff to it. And so for the most part, that would be it. It's gonna get really chunky. So I guess the 2 signatures work. This rickrack was a specialty item from a kid I got, I think, and then it's a little bit on the skinny side, so it was hard to work with my first time out. I did find this really cute Winnie the Pooh fabric at, I'm pretty sure, Walmart. It was a fat quarter, but the covers were in really pretty good condition. I was gonna put some book corners, but I didn't even get that far. And my signatures are crooked, as you can see, the way I sewed it in, but okay, yeah. And then I did go through and I did some washi taping on some of the edges there because I didn't like, there's a little bit of fray here and there, but I thought, let's just put a washi sticker there. But I learned about adhesive, so I did put some glue under that, and so that's why it's still sticking the way it is. And same with the back cover, I was able to put a piece of washi tape there as well. And look at this cover though, it's so cute. I hated to even cover it up, but there was some damage here and there, so I did the best I could with that. I'm trying to save as much as I could of the covers, the inside cover. And then my first signature is a pocket, which of course I never glued the pockets. I'm telling you, I got past this stage of putting the 2 signatures in, right? Got 2 signatures. And I was like, oh, it's not turning out the way I want. So again, I might go back and try to fix this one up. I don't know how though, because I don't like the way that's looking. I need to fix that. And I'm just using, I was having fun, like choosing off the papers, leaving some of the book pages in. You know, nothing too vintage yet because scrap paper's not vintage. Oh, this is parchment paper. And this is from a coloring book that I found at a thrift store. So that was kind of cute. Music page, you know, so you're normal. Look at that, Pacific Coast Highway. Something from like a ledger, but not vintage. And then pocket again. And then some more different papers. Oh, so this is the middle. Cute. This is paper from another journal that I took apart. This is tea dyed. Yes, my first venture into tea dyeing. I believe this is just a sketchbook paper or media paper, so you could, you know, watercolor or whatever you wanted to do on that. Here's the other side of the ledger paper, the music sheet, photo paper, the other part of the coloring page, parchment paper, graph paper. Oh, and then these are the storybook pages. And then what I was trying to do here is that I was going to hinge these on because I really liked this part of the story. I wanted it to stay together. So I started, and of course, obviously I didn't finish. And again, I'm hinging with the washi tape. Whoops. But I'm reinforcing with glue underneath, which, you know, I just wanted to make sure that it was going to stay. That's why. And so my idea is to hinge the rest of these in, because this is the cutest part of the whole story, is when Christopher Robin is saying, I'll always be with you. It's got to be in there. It's got to be in. So I'll probably come back to that another time. And then that's the end of that signature. So same thing. And whoa. Same exact thing, just the signatures are identical. The papers, the scrapbook paper is different, but basically, again, I got this paper from Echo Park. They do the best paper collections, and then when you can get it on sale, oh my goodness, that's a really good deal. Except they have to send it out here to me in Hawaii. Shipping is not free because I'm not part of the lower 48. So I do have to pay for shipping, but so I buy it on sale because then it's really worth it. And I was going to do the same thing with these pages, sort of hinge them in here and there. Yeah, get back to that. So that was my first attempt at a junk journal, you guys. And yeah, I have done better since then, and I will share those soon. But anyway, I want to thank you for hanging in there. And if this is a video that you liked and you'd like to see more, please don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button, as well as the notification bell, so that you can come back and check out more videos later. And that note, I will say aloha, because aloha means hello and goodbye in Hawaii. And I will see you again soon. Aloha.